The Free Spirit rods are legendary in carp fishing, with an extensive range of test curves and lengths, only a fraction of which are featured in this programme. Both the high S and S ranges are all individually hand-built in the UK, which allows the angler a massive scope in his ability to custom design his rods. The carbon used in Free Spirit rods is hand-sourced in Japan and Korea, and their quality is second to none. All the rods right across the range are designed with the angler in mind, as both casting and playing tools, making them a joy to use and the undeniable envy of carp anglers worldwide. A full list of all available models can be found within the products and prices menu of this DVD.
We're probably renowned in rod terms for the top end. We obviously have got a very good share of the top end market, and particularly the high S and before the S range are very well renowned products and very well respected products. We've been trying recently really to bring some of that technology into other product ranges, notably the E-Class and then the new Carp Tamer X, so that a lot of the lessons we've learnt in different production techniques are then applied to price points that are more accessible by the mass market. We make no excuses for the quality end of obviously our top range products, but clearly at the price they're not accessible to everybody, even though I would argue that if you buy a set of our rods, it's a lifetime purchase.
It was actually here that I had the highest rods for. I started fishing it with the softer rods, but in big winds and 12-15 pound line you was a little bit limited on the distances you could chuck. Calm conditions and using lighter main lines wasn't a problem, but there were days when you got the blustery winds and just needed a rod that a push led through the wind. It's amazed me how soft the rods are as well. As you know, I fish on the mangrove quite a lot. The fish there, you end up having to play them a lot heavier than you really want to, because they try and get under the wooden staging that you're playing them from. I never used to suffer hook pulls or anything else. So the rods that, I'd say they're probably one of the most versatile rods in the range. Soft enough to have fun with the fish, but powerful enough to cast.
The reason why I liked them to start with is I couldn't break them. It was as simple as it's one of the first companies I've actually picked up and played with the rods and not broken any of the rods, and I still haven't to date. And trust me, I have tried to break them. That's not only just the high S, that's some of the S range and some of the lower end, as you put it, of the range. And I've gone out my way to break them, I can't. Obviously for my highest 200s, the reason I got them is you can put baits way over 200 yards, as simple as that. But they're user friendly as well. The durability, mine are the same set as I've had from day one, my highest 200s, and they're like new. It's as simple as that. You can, in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years' time, if you decided you want them to have a re-run, you can do. But say mine are coming up 4 or 5 year old or whatever they are, and they've been used and abused. We've tested the test curve at one of the shows, and the test curve was identical to a brand new rod.
Lovely all-round rod, brilliant casting rod, 130, 135 yards. You say 150. Lovely to play fish at distance and under the rod tip as well. I've got 50mm butt rings on them and all, just to assist the casting. Just a lovely all-round rod, really. Ideal for small bag work. It's fantastic.
If you've got the opportunity to have something slightly different than everybody else, it is nice. But at the end of the day, they're still the same blanks, and they still do the same job as the others. It's only personal preference what they look like. At the end of the day, they're very good rods, and you can't get away from that fact. Totally perfect casting tool and perfect fish playing tool. Undoubtedly the best rods on the market.
The XS is the first Free Spirit rods I had. They're 4.5, 5 years old now. Just had them rebuilt. Not because there was anything wrong with them, just the duplon does wear over time. And had a nice little touch underneath where the line clip is. I've had numbers 1, 2 and 3. I don't know really what you call it, more of a progressive action than, say, the high S rods. So I find them great for ranges sort of up to 100 yards. They will cast further, but that's what I use them for. And I like to use as light a gear as possible. Probably comes from the match fishing days when I was a nipper, but if I can get away with using smaller hooks and lighter lines, I will do. I believe it buys me a few more bites. And using that lighter end tackle means that you need a rod to protect that the hook hold and make sure you don't break the lines. So, you know, the smoother action of these rods, you know, suits that style of fishing really well.
I started using the excessive about 3 years ago. I was a little bit dubious at the time because it's quite powerful on the tip. I mean, it's a really good casting rod. And we used them in a match with Zigs in the British Championships, I think for the first time. Very light hook length, small hooks, long range. I mean, the casting on them is phenomenal. You get a real good feel with it. And obviously without the resin in the blank, you're feeling that lead bump down. But the play on them is extremely smooth. I think that's the thing with most of the free spirit rods. You're getting that allowance of bump on the fish, and it's just dampening slightly what, you know, normally tend to sort of straighten the hooks and pull the hooks out.
My trusty old ESs, I've had them a few years now, but they're without a doubt, you know, the best fishing rods I've ever had, like, you know. And I've got rods that will cast further, you know, the IS range and things like that. But to be honest with you, most of the time they spend their time in the garage at home, like, you know, because the ESs, you know, to me, they're the perfect fishing rod.
Now, my ES rods, they're what I call me babies. They're a rod that I suppose I've been searching for a long time. They're, you know, sort of like robust rod, but very, very slim. They're great for playing fish on, and I'm really into playing with fish, so I've got something. If I do need to go a little bit further, I can be a bit silly with the rod and it won't break. But also I've got something that I can fish down the margins, float a fish with. I just absolutely love the rod. I can't think of a better rod that I've ever used or could want to use.
For lakes, which are only a couple of acres that I fish, and 50 yards, I've got some ESs which are 2 3/4, and they bend all the way through, and you can have some real good fun on them. But yeah, they're still high, still high end of the range. You've got the highest than the S, but they're all through action. Very nice rods.
And I needed a new floater rod, and I thought, right, I looked at the KS and I started playing about with it, and the smoothness of it, I mean, it bends right the way through. You can really play a fish and enjoy it. And I think that's the whole thing, you know, there's a lot of rods out there that you use that are too powerful for the job you're trying to do. That one you can have some real good fun with, whether it's small carp or big carp. It doesn't matter, whatever you hook, you've got a real nice smooth play on it, and the tip can sort of bounce around and you can buffer everything and hopefully land the one that you want to.
The E-classes are just the best value for money, they really are. I use a lot for my teaching. For the price, you can cast way beyond 100 yards, even with the 2.5s. The 2 3/4 is a superb piece of kit that I recommend to anyone. You can still have a custom build. You know, they go up to really powerful rods that you could use for method feeders and PVA bags, and the 2.5s are a brilliant small water rod. And the X-Wraps, well, I think for their price in the market, they're superb. You've got the S-Light rings that are on the rods that are 3 times the price of them. You've got great reel seat fittings and handles. They're well thought out. They're the same designs. The actions of the rods are still tried to be made to the same as the higher end rods. So, you know, all through cracking bits of kit.